Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. Today, Saturday, November 15th, is going to bring me great pleasure to bring in our guest. Today, it's going to be Shelley Picha.
Yes.
Shelley is here today with me to my right, and we are in front of a live audience today, as always on Saturdays at pretty close to 2 p.m. And we're going to talk about her induction and her career into the Hall of Fame that happened on October 26th at the Drury Lane at that great event. I want to take the time now to thank the board and Paul Rowan for always setting the time aside for these interviews here at the Hall. It's just a concept that we've been doing now for the last 2 years, and it's always great to see the inductee and talk a little bit about the career and why they play this great game. So, after further ado here, I'd like to bring in Shelley Picha. Shelley, good to see you. I met you that night at the induction ceremony. It was a great ceremony.
Absolutely.
What a dinner and everything else. And what is going on with you these days before I get into this thing of how you started?
Well, I just got done coaching flag football,
Okay.
and that was fun, a lot of fun. And just teaching PE, running around chasing my
And
kids.
is that your main thing, the PE thing?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So I went through the bio, kind of sniffed around to see what you were all about. You know, I think I said this once to Joni McKelliott. You were going to become a model, but you decided to become a softball player. So it starts at this thing in LaGrange, a family picnic where the families are getting involved and they saying, I could do it better than you. And the arguments start, and the passion starts when the argument starts. My family always used to say. So how does it start?
Yeah, it's I was probably about 5 or 6, and every summer we'd have picnics together, barbecues, outings, and then it would always end up with very competitive family. It always ended up with splitting up the family just in half and playing a 16-inch softball game. And it always started out friendly, but then by the end of it, somebody makes some comment to somebody else, and then the slides come in a little harder. The accidental clips on the way around the bases happen and stuff like that until everybody's battered and bloodied, and one person's walking away with some bruises, but everybody else has a lot of pride. And
yeah, for sure. So did you like it right away? I mean, did you like, I can't wait to do this again type of attitude?
When you're really little, you don't quite understand why it's so important for the win.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the competitiveness, the fights, the camaraderie that happened afterwards. Two family members may not have been talking before the game, but if they're on the winning team, the next thing you know, they're all getting along really well.
For sure. So you play, because I was kind of reading through it, you play 16-inch first, and then you go into the 12 thing?
Yeah. 16-inch because I grew up on the north side of the city. And then when I moved out to the suburbs in Berwyn, they didn't have 16-inch for little kids. Everything was 12-inch. So putting that mid on was very weird.
Weird, and I find it weird too, because, Berwyn, let's say from Dunham Park, which you played on this team called the Little Cubs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's close, but in proximity, I remember always hearing that they didn't have this kind of stuff. How was it to play that 12? I mean, it's the faster game, correct?
Yeah, it was, when you're little, I think I was probably 10 or 11. When you're little, it's still coming in reasonably slow back then.
Right.
And the adjustment to not having an arc on the ball when it was coming in was hard to hit originally.
Sure.
But then, like anything else, you adjust to it. And
was this a fast pitch?
Yeah,
okay, fast. Okay, the 12-inch fast, right. So you wind up playing that and playing with the high school. And
yeah.
So what was your position?
Well, I started out as a shortstop, but I had a very wild arm. So then they tried to put me at second, and I had one of the best second basemen, Marcy Kritikos, and she saved my butt a lot. And then they said, was just still too much. So I was fast, so they put me in the outfield, and then I could just let it fly.
Okay, and
Yeah.
when you were playing the outfield, were you more in center, left field, right field?
Center, sometimes left, but usually center.
And then I feel of any, even in the 16-inch game, the center fielder, just like in the pro game, the league ball game, you got to be the quarterback. You got to really watch. You got to cover the gaps. You got to back up the outfielders. Did you transition well from going out from this infield position, short and second, now to the outfield and more responsibility?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I had more responsibility, but I could cover a lot of ground. So,
Right.
and I'm a sizable person, so usually
Yeah,
everybody
and
else got out of my way.
so you can move out there. You
Yeah.
could cover those gaps and everything else.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat. You wind up winning is it so you were in the conference championship, correct?
We won state my sophomore year,
Okay.
and then my freshman, junior, and senior year, we lost the game against Maine South every year to go downstate. So our sophomore year,
Okay.
we beat them and won the whole thing.
So I can imagine this now becomes this rivalry with this team now that's back from Park Ridge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Huge,
Absolutely.
huge. And there were the daggers and everything was going around in those days.
And they used to come off those fancy buses,
Yeah, of course.
the big buses with their bags, and they look like a professional team, and just intimidate.
Right, right. Now they can have their fancy tax bill too.
Yes, absolutely.
Without a doubt. You go on, which was phenomenal to see. Not only now you win a state, you do this, but you go on to play at the North Missouri State University. How was that feeling to go? I mean, you're still playing, you're still involved. How was that feeling to go play now in college?
Well, I didn't play softball in college.
Oh, you
I
did?
actually played volleyball and basketball in
Okay.
college. Softball.
Did they have a program?
Yes, they did, and I had an offer to stay my fifth year to play softball, but by then my head was done thinking,
Right.
so I didn't want to stay any longer. So I moved on.
Yeah, because your athletic ability here is unbelievable. Of those two that you just mentioned, the volleyball and basketball, of course, you need the height, you need the agility and everything else, which was the favorite in college.
It's probably basketball, but it's hard to say because, each sport lends its own things that are just exciting to do. Each sport does. So
Did they interfere? Because I was wondering
and they
because
overlapped and
yeah.
caused some problems, but we worked it out.
Did you ever have the coach in college that would come up to you and say, "Hey, Picha, you can't be on the volleyball team"? Did you have this? Because I had it in my life with the hockey and the baseball, and they'd be like, "No, you can't be playing hockey." And how was that it became issues?
Yeah, the coaches didn't like sharing that, center time between both sports. So I would play volleyball, and then when I was done with volleyball practice, I would go to basketball conditioning. I was in great shape. I had like 12% body fat. I was like 145. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I can imagine playing two sports, and you're probably practicing on an average of, let's say the average is out of 7 days, 6 days a week.
It sure was. It sure was.
Because weekends are probably the games, and during the week you're hammering it out.
Yeah.
Well, you must have been pretty good because you get an honor that I still, it's something I don't care what somebody says. Even when you're younger and you get to our age now, a little bit older, you become this athlete of the year. Was it 1992?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, in your wildest dream, did you ever think at that college level?
No, had no idea. And some of the best awards that, I've been able to achieve happened, behind the scenes where I had no idea until it was announced and someone told me.
Right. And, to encompass two sports, I mean, and I'm sure, just like the other day, I was telling you, I interviewed the son of Glenn Hall, and he says, Johnny, you can't imagine how my dad played hurt. And, like somebody, we could be here sitting at a chair and saying, "Oh, what's wrong with McKelly out today? She hasn't gotten on base or she dropped the ball." We don't know what Joni's going through.
Right.
We don't know what you're going through. We know what Joni's going through. But no, we don't know because I'm sure, we got to pull muscle, pull thigh, and That is an amazing feat for what you did. All right, let's go back to our beloved game because we are in the Hall of Fame here today in Forest Park, the 16-inch. What do you remember about now? This is after college and now you start this routine. We out there one night a week, half a night a week. Yeah.
Well, and that was the funny thing was I played throughout college and was always thinking I'm gonna get in big trouble if I get hurt, but thank goodness
So
that
you're
never.
playing during college.
Yeah.
You
In the summer.
in the
Yeah.
summer. And of course, yeah, you got to go back to September, and
Right.
you better not have the pole
Right.
muscle or there'll be a
Right.
exactly.
It was perfect though. It was like the perfect time of life because, you know, you had the coordination of a competitive game in college, and then in the summer it was also competitive,
Right.
but it was a little bit more relaxed. I mean, we still did very, very well, but it wasn't, you know, a coach yelling at you. It was your teammates yelling at you.
Here's a question I'd like to ask. Did the 16-inch softball game help you with the volleyball and the basketball?
Oh, absolutely.
In the sense of coordination and sense of, because I know we always say that different muscles, different, how was it for you guys?
Yeah, I never had any injuries related to sport until I was much, much older. And
Okay.
then it was a contact thing, but I mean, I was in my 30s before I had my first like real injury. And much of that is because of the fact that you're not using the same muscles all the time. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
getting something, diving for
Sure.
a ball and softball is the same as diving for a volleyball. Your hands are just differently
Sure,
placed.
sure.
So
Were you burnt out going back to college after? Because I mean, you're playing again 5-6 nights a week here.
it was all different. So it was like a vacation from, the drilling and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
We'd
How many teams did you think you played for in the summer?
total or
Just in
summer?
general, yeah, I like to.
Probably,
On an average, maybe let's say from when you were 20 to 30 years old.
yeah, probably 2 to 3 teams in the summer. And then, being an outfielder, the older I got, the more I got picked up on other teams because the older you get, the harder it is to play outfield.
Sure, yeah.
So-
As much as we don't want to say it, yeah, the legs start to
Yeah.
fade, man or women, the legs, but they look good from the outside, but something's going on. I always said on the
The
inside.
joints are a little weird.
Yeah, right. Well, listen, this is amazing too. Tournaments every weekend, 5 days a week. I mean, I was getting the answers as I was asking the question. Desperados, breakaways. You played at all these parks. You guys dominated leagues. Do you remember all these tournaments and situations? What is there something that is still talked about? And of course, we have some really nice ladies here today in the audience that have played with you and you've been on these teams with, and they were at the banquet. What goes through your mind? Do you still remember that? Where you guys now still go out to the bar and say, "Hey, remember that game with the Desperados? Remember this?" What stays in your head about those years?
Absolutely. One of my first teammates for Desperados, actually, Barb Schaff, is an Olympic handball player. And when I was younger in college, she would run so fast. She'd actually, when she'd turn around first, she'd actually be sideways for a little bit because she was just so fast and nobody could ever throw her out anywhere. Those are memorable. The YME tournaments, what park is that at? Mount Greenwood. Those are memorable because it was like a reunion.
Right.
You saw people from all different sports that you play against, all different parks.
Sure.
Over Oriole Park against the kids.
Kids, Red Dog Chaos.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Wow.
Indian Road. What's Joel's team? Swinging Blues.
Swinging
was-
Blues.
we
Okay.
were
Okay.
first down to the last game. Most seasons, I think they beat us one time in 12 years. Yes, I said it.
We're getting the feedback here from the audience if it's you can't hear, but here's another thing that really impressed me. You played in a co-ed league?
Yeah.
How is that?
It was good. We, most of the players that I played co-ed with, most of them are Hall of Fame players as well.
Right.
I oftentimes had always been the youngest, so there was the learning curve of trying to catch up to everybody all the time, but the guys were great. Playing outfield at Larry Downs is a really nice experience because he covers a lot of ground as
Oh,
well.
sure, sure.
And the guys protect you when you're playing another team that didn't. We played in Grant Park at one point, and this, I'll never forget. I can't remember what team we were playing, but I was getting ready to go on vacation, and this guy was coming from third. Ball was hit to Mike Whitco in the outfield, and he fired it home because the guy tagged up to come home. And when I was catching, because I was getting ready to go on vacation, the guy tried to take me out, and somehow I have no idea how I hung on to the ball, tagged him out. But then the guys went berserk because he literally tried to take me out.
I'm sure.
I mean, I don't.
I didn't know that was you until now.
So I gotta ask
Watch you
you.
get hammered.
Yeah, it sure is.
So I gotta ask you the question.
It's like this.
Maybe Frank and Paul and of course in our audience today and Mick
I was there.
will remember this.
I know.
When you say he was gonna take you out, was it a Pete Rose, Ray Fosse style where he's coming shoulder in?
No.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute.
No, he was sliding, but he wasn't trying to get to the base. He was trying to make sure I dropped the ball.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
I said.
but he's coming in.
Oh, he's coming in hard. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And when you walk away from that, that in itself has to be like, wow,
It was, I couldn't believe, and of course, everybody that was there went nuts, but all I could think to myself, with strong parents is we were going on vacation and my mom was going to kill me because I was bleeding from my elbows and my knees. So
Jeez.
way to start vacation. Big band-aids all over.
But you made the play.
I sure did.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
No wonder she's in the hall. Yeah.
Bored up. While you're interviewing, you're like, right.
I'm intimidated just from the answer. Always would thrill me because I used to go down and watch it because I always played in these like Oriole Park leagues and the Dunham leagues. They were like A leagues, but the Grant Park thing, that is so cool because I used to go down there in the summer and watch it, or the Old Mount Prospect League, watch all these guys play. How was it to play in those Grant Park tournaments? Do you remember it?
It was the best time as far as I'm concerned for 16-inch softball because you had corporate, you had women's, you had recreational, you had men's, co-ed, you had everything. It was just from one part that you could see of the city to the other. It was just constant softball everywhere. They had the teams everywhere sitting on the side embankments while everybody was watching, all feeding down to those championship games. They had the celebrity game.
I mean, intimidating in itself when you see all those people and everything else and the competitiveness of it is great. I mean, you start this friendly family game, and I always love hearing their stories, like Frank and Mick and Paul, all the guys that have been here. Kevin Lund was here, and he sent me a picture of a ball that he hit out of Comiskey. And I was just like, wow, it's a different, what I'm trying to get at is, it's a different level. So when you saw it as this young girl and to the level that you got to, did you ever think you were going to get to that level? Because, I filled in once in one of these level games and I looked at them like, these guys are pitching a ball with one hand. I can't pitch a ball with two, and they're on line drive, one guy's dumping over here. I'm running around like a madman. I mean, did you work on the craft? Were you the better offensive player? Were you the better defensive? What did Shelley Picha bring to the table every night?
Yeah, it's one of those situations that when you're little, you just want to be able to compete with the bigger people. I was always one of the youngest, so watching one of my teammates, fully lay out and dive and catch balls in the outfield. I could never do that because every time I hit the ground, it would pop out. And I started watching and working on it, you get better. Right. Seeing people in one of our Oriole games, one of our shortstops used to always have like a trick up her sleeve, and she would, fake the throw and then wait for the person to come around second and tag them out.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I was able to do that, one time in my life because it's an amazing feeling when you have something that you can do that can get that kind of reaction from people because you know that it was good.
I think that won the championship, didn't it?
It did win the championship, yeah.
Yeah.
The play that she's talking about right now.
Yeah, because yeah,
And you see it enough times and you try it one time and it works and you're like, oh,
sweet.
But it's great to hear, and everybody has said this, it's great to hear that, like you said, it would pop out if you were diving for a ball and you worked at this and you watched things to make it better. But in those days, we didn't have a YouTube and that you would watch a player.
Yeah,
how does she do that? Or how does he do that? This thing, like watching some of these pictures, like people always tell me about Mick, the way he pitched, or how Frank played the outfield. They positioned themselves. They came in and knew the game because there was no Google, there was no YouTube.
right.
And you got to remember, okay, this guy pulls the left or this guy dumps or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Practice.
Right. That's Joni here in the audience today. Joni McKellar is the practice. Who are some early mentors that, let's say, from when you were the young girl in the 20s to now to the career now that you had, the stellar career that you had? Sometimes are just thinking about it, especially after the night when you won this, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Who are those mentors where you could be just daydreaming at home and saying, wow, I won this award to be inducted into the Hall of Fame that, gave you that chance? 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Was it your parents? Was it, yeah.
Yeah. Parents. And every once in a while we have a train debacle or something by one of the parks, and my mom would be at the games and they'd be like, hey, Shelley, can your mom play fill in? That was always fun. Sorry. That just came to mind.
No, but it's
My mom would be like, oh, I have gym shoes. No, probably mentors. Pat McGuire. A lot of this came from the early days of the Phillies and Desperados. Pat McGuire, Sharon Olmstead, Cindy Yukovic was a pitcher. Barb Schaff, seeing them wanting to emulate the things that they did well.
Right.
It was fun.
Yeah, and they were constructive people, right? All when I interview all the gentlemen and even the ladies that I've interviewed in the past, and I always kind of zero in on the answer, it really is, constructive, because sometimes I think the younger set of today, the millennial guys that are playing the game, I shouldn't use that word. I think they take constructive criticism as, oh, he thinks he does it better than me. But the way you just said it now was, hey, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to do this the right way.
Yeah, even now, my teammates, if we're playing, they'll be like, you're just pulling your head off the ball at the last second when you're hitting, watch it all the way through, or, trying to, we have teammates that can just completely hit that right field line at
Sure.
and, Marie dumping it over the first baseman and third baseman's head,
Right.
and not all those skills come to be your skills, but, it's something, Sally, Joni being able to hit the long ball, and me trying to do that and realize I'm more of a punch hitter.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, but and that is something when you know what you can and you cannot do. 40 years of playing this game and still being involved in this game. It to me that's just truly amazing. You won titles here, even Indian Road, Oriole Park, and Chaos, and all that. As you got to be the experience of Shelley Picha, what did you see at the end of the game? Meaning, when we're in those later years of this game, what did you see what else did you bring to the table? Did you bring like this experience where you showed this younger 20, 25-year-old?
Just so you don't get as fired up as you used to. When you're young, you're like, we're down by 3 runs, and you realize, and we've been on teams where it took the 7th inning all the time to finish the game. Why we had to wait till the 7th inning to start hitting, I'm not really sure, but the older you get, the more you kind of watch the game as it goes, and you're not so stressed out by every little thing and focusing on every mistake that was made. You just kind of roll with it and, keep having each other's backs, and it usually works out well.
Sure.
Trust each other.
Before we talk about the award, can you give me 15 players? And I'll give you 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 15 players. I'm going to give you 10 that you're going to put on the field, of course. 10.
Okay.
You can't put Balestri out there.
Okay.
Please.
So, coach, the girls team, I'm not doing it no more.
He's been on too many teams.
I'm not doing it no more.
If you had to put 10 of in your mind quickly, nobody will get offended, and then 5 backups.
Oh, that's a lot. Let's see. I have to think about this.
And we can splice it out if we say the wrong person.
Okay.
Should have done that on Monday, yeah.
Probably have Sally in left field.
Okay, and I guess Sally's here.
Yes,
Oh, Sally, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sally is in our audience.
Sally in left field. Have probably myself in center,
Okay,
Tracy in right.
Okay.
See, third baseman, probably Maria at third base. Deneen.
okay, now, and Sally, your last name is Beaumont, you had mentioned to me before the podcast, and of course Shelley Picha will be in
Yes.
center. Who's this lady in right again?
Tracy Potter.
Tracy Potter, okay.
Let's see, where am I going? I'm at third.
Maria,
base.
we got-
Maria Show at
Okay.
third. Shortstop Deneen. Jazinski with probably Sharon Olmstead as a backup, if she could even move anymore. She's pretty beat up too. Short center, Nancy. Second base. Ooh, second base has been the rotation amongst rotations. I don't even know. I don't even know.
Marcy,
Who?
trying Marcy with you.
Yeah, maybe Marcy. I don't know if she could cover second base as well anymore. Joni at first. Marie on the mound.
McElliott?
If this was like one of those things that, age didn't matter, time.
Yeah, I know, yeah, you're gonna put
Probably
in your
Cindy
husband.
Yukovich on the mound as a backup for Marie. And catching, ooh, we've had a number of catchers.
You don't want to switch, you go to catchers, since you stop that guy.
No,
Okay, I used to catch too. That was fun, and it's.
Yeah, either way, I mean.
Yeah. Oh. We had a couple
Well, you
spots that were,
mentioned some great,
yeah,
you mentioned some great ones for sure.
Tammy catching.
Okay, all right, so I always ask this, when you got the call from a Paul Groen or a board member, I'm sure it was Paul, what was going through your mind that now you're going to the Hall of Fame?
It's just like a dream come true. It's one of those things that, it's nice to be honored. You hope for it. You see other people that you've played with
Sure.
go in and, you're somewhat envious of, them being able to get to a pinnacle. And then when you get that call, it seems surreal.
Yeah, yeah. What Paul called you?
Probably in my basement doing laundry.
Said I'm.
Athletes have to do a lot of laundry.
Everybody's had a different story, and I just think it's always cool of where you're at when Paul takes the ball. All right, I love this last line, and it's in the thing. Sometimes I look for something in my interviews on my main show or in this, but I love this, and this is true about you. Just in these 40 minutes, me and you today. She built a legacy of toughness, versatility, and the joy for the game. Shelley hopes to be remembered for athleticism, humor, passion for the sport, and love of life. And my dear, you showed it here today. Thank you. Good to see you. You do a job. And this was fantastic today. And anybody here in the audience wants to maybe stand here, because I didn't bring a microphone today because it was malfunctioning. Does anybody want to ask Shelley a question or remember something about her that stays in our mind? You would have to stand here. Anybody, free, otherwise,
They're appropriate.
Here, I'll throw it in.
you okay, Mick Balestri?
I'll just throw it.
Mick, your voice, just to bring it up a notch.
In the heyday when you were playing with your best teams, I know there were stakes for women, right?
Mhm.
And what was the tournament that would be compared to our Forest Park Gold Glove Master? What was the big tournament?
There
Other
was,
than state, I was figuring, what would be the next biggest level tournament you played in?
I don't know, they used to have them, and I don't even remember what all the names are. I mean, we didn't, it was more who made a good play back in the day and if we won. And then it was a reason for us to go out and drink, honestly. That's what we're doing.
There was so maybe there was one tournament highlighted already.
Joliet, they had tournaments, and I don't know if that was a state tournament. I don't even remember. And was the one further south, Country Club Hills. That's what it was. Yeah.
The one these were always really
State? No.
Angel.
Gainesville was, yeah, that was
Oh, that's-
14-inch mush and 11-inch.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to do back to back.
No, wow, imagine.
So YB is still the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still
for sure.
big.
Yeah. But
Frank, go ahead. You want to maybe stand right here just in case?
I just got two questions, actually not a question, but
Okay.
I want to thank you for paying back the debt you owe in softball and giving these young kids an opportunity. That's what most of us are doing right now, is saying, you know what? It did so much for me, I better give something back.
absolutely.
What's missing today, though, with the young kids is role models. Having someone like you there, they can say, I want to be like you. That is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank
Very good,
you.
Frank.
Paul Rowan, our president, anything you would like to add before we conclude today?
I have one question and then I'll say something, but so I know the Roden Crown Padeos
Mhm,
were the strong ones on the south side.
mhm.
Who were the north side stronger teams that were at that level that they were at?
Well, the Bideos, funny enough, we used to play against them in, I think it was Worth when I was at Desperados.
Okay.
So it's like 40 years of, seeing people switch teams and go all over. North side, I'm gonna say chaos. I think we
Were
were
Desperado south?
south, yeah.
Oh, that's what I-
They were,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, they were Worth. Somewhere even further south.
Is that my Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
They played in Blue Island also. There was not a difference out.
Yeah, Blue Island.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And when,
And I just I wanna
Yeah, go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
follow up with what Frank said, Shelley's doing a great job right now and helping promote the game and, our goal is to bring the women's game back.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
amen.
Yes.
got a couple committees going, they're starting to play in grammar school now, 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th, out south, but, we're looking, we've got some bats and balls donated, so we can start holding clinics, so we're hoping this winter we get to get a few clinics out, and we're gonna have 3 draft tournaments next year.
Nice.
We're gonna have one on the north side, one, probably around, near downtown, and then one on the south side next year. We had one this year, we organized it within 2 weeks, we had 52 women come out.
Wow.
So we're hoping
Yeah.
we can do this, and it gets interest, because you can't always put a team together, but you can get yourself out.
Right, exactly.
We're looking forward to that.
Again, go ahead.
I was just gonna say maybe, is talk a little bit about, like you were just saying about like the camaraderie of the whole thing, because, it's like you, even though you're playing the game and then afterwards, you're hanging out and just hanging out with your friends and just like laughing about, talking over the game and what
Sure.
else.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing, because you talk about Bideos, Desperados. I can't remember some of the other teams that we played against when I was way back then. But it was like from all over. And that's why I think why the YME is so big, because you'll have people that haven't played ball in 5 years come out and watch and then get picked up for an A or B game. And it's like a reunion of sorts, same thing as the Hall of Fame dinner. It ends up being a reunion because everybody gets to
Sure.
hear all those moments, and you get real complimentary, and everybody has a really good time when you come out and have a beverage together. And
Sure.
Did you ever play against Wilson CC with Susie Paver and Pam Binkley and Janet Carpenter? You ever play against them?
yeah, I was very young. Yeah.
That was the Bridgeport team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Chicago Community Center, Wilson Park District.
Nice.
Wow.
Little community, it was a building, and they used to come out and Joe Bertucci, the guy from Chinatown, Randy King, who was instructor.
That's going back, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I was upping in the
That's-
nineties and Arbor Park when they were playing there. I was up in the girls' leagues then.
Jason.
I got to know some of the people and then.
Crazy.
And then Wire would come down with the heavies and knock everybody out. But they-
It doesn't surprise me.
I'll see Rosie DeRacy running around the bases. You know,
Yeah,
with
Rosie,
tennis
yeah.
shirts, with another
Exactly.
There's another one.
You're still going.
She's still going. So
Yeah.
I remember.
Those good memories, yeah.
I remember from back when.
Yeah, Rosie could be at shortstop.
Sure.
And I'm at second.
This
Good stuff.
This concludes our interview today with Shelley Picha, Hall of Famer. And again, thank you for the live audience today and everything else. We will be back here next Saturday with another inductee at 2 p.m. Be here live. Thank you all.